All right, what you're looking at is the project I always refer to in my videos as a spinning drum fax machine. Now, as you can see, it's totally covered in dust. It's over 30 years old. It's basically technology that's long gone. There's still a few stations left on the internet. And when you hear it, it'll sound like seagulls. And ding, 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 wee, 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 ding, 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 ding. That's fax signal. And they used to send fax pictures to sea for the ships and cruise ships. And they would send weather maps. And I'm going to show you some of the maps that this machine drew. Now, and pictures. Now, I built this when I was working at TRW. One of the guys there was so impressed by the machine, he made a tag. It says Klein Fax by Klein Craft. Okay? Now, originally, fax machines, they were used on ships. And a few guys, like QC Magazine and those, they got an idea to build a decoder and a spinning drum. And they used old gear-driven motors. And these motors are synchronized to a digital circuit. There's actually timing involved. And there's 1 revolution per second, 2 revolutions per second, and 4. Okay? And I wish I could show you more. It sort of does make noise now. I can move this along at a higher speed. But the drum seems to be dead today. This thing's over 30 years old. Let me see if this line. Okay, this spins. So the motor is locking. The step-in motor is locking, but it's not spinning. But anyway, this here is a meter. It tells you the signal level. There's a light above it and light below, and it sends a signal that's similar to RIDI. So this light would light up on the low, and this will light up on the high. And it uses a phase lock loop chip, 565 LM565, something like that. And it decodes a frequency shift signal. And there's a minute or so before pictures. And then I would turn this on and it start the drum spinning. And there's a button over here. You press this button and it clicks. And it flips a flip-flop. And it sends a different frequency to the motor. So the motor's spinning slightly faster than it should. So when this line here, this is where the paper goes underneath. This is a contact point. Wait, let me make sure it's in the frame. This is a contact point. This is actually a piece of foil on a piece of regular clear tape. Okay, and this is all real dirty and dusty. I kept this only as a keepsake. You put the paper under that foil, and then you tape it down or use a spring thing. Well, anyway, it spins. And this needle sits on the paper. And this needle is a piece of spring wire. Okay? And it puts 60 volts into the paper. And it's not thermal paper, it's a clay-based paper. And it's conductive. It's not thermal, it's not impact, it's conductive. Now, on the side here, there's a sensor in here. Let me make sure it's in the frame. There's a disc sensor I made, and it runs in there's an optical sensor here. And that tells the circuitry where the end of the paper is. Okay, I thought everything out. Now, how I got into this, okay, it started when I told you when I was a little kid. My father saw a guy on television. He had built something similar to this, and he told everybody he was going to get pictures from Mars. He wasn't getting the pictures directly from Mars. He was getting the pictures from either a NASA relay or AARL, okay? And I knew right away, I called bullshit on it. I said to my father, he's not getting it from Mars, he's getting it from relay. My father argued with me. You don't know everything. You think you're smarter than everybody. I was correct on it, okay? They always puff up these articles. Whenever they have a guy working out of his garage, they puff it up. And it's lying through omission. Like he says, I'm getting pictures from Mars, but he doesn't say, they're pictures from Mars, but they're coming to the United States. They're being received by a giant dish. And then they're going to be relayed as a different fax format, and I'm going to pick them up with my machine. Okay? So in my mind, I had this machine. I seen it. I wanted to build one. And I was only like 9 years old. So as time went on, I got older and I built a lot of projects. I learned how to use PVC plastic. That's what this is. This is regular rod from the hardware store. Okay, and then there's threaded rod, which pushes the movement. There's a floating bearing in there. Later on, the technology from this that I created using step-in motors went on to make my CNC machines. Okay, now here, these are step-in motors from 5¼ inch floppy. And I have a clock timing circuits under this thing. Let me tilt it up. I'll show you what's underneath. All right, now this is why this doesn't work anymore. Feast your eyes on all that, okay? There you go. It has several different voltages, different circuit boards, timing circuit boards. They take 10 megacycles and divide it down. There's all kinds of, there's a filter circuit that cleans up the input signal from the shortwave radio. Okay, this is basically a bandpass filter. It's basically a RIDI filter for radio teletype. And here's the step-in motor controllers. These actually run the step-in motors. These are out of paper tape machine. And then this thing over here, this is the high voltage board for the 60 volts to burn the paper. And oh, there's also a speaker. When this plugs into the shortwave radio, in some shortwave radios, you knock the speaker out. So then the sound comes out of the speaker. Everything's in here. Okay? During tune-up, this meter, let's see if we can see this meter here. During tune-up, when it's sitting idle, this meter should be out here. And then during the you go bing, 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 and you hit this, you hit the synchronization. The drums is going slightly faster, and when the paper, the beep sound of ding, 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 that's the actual edge of the paper. When the two circuits line up, the drum switches gears and goes in the correct speed. I put everything into this unit, just like a real one, a real multi-$1,000 unit. And while I was building it, the guys at work found an article of a guy, he was in a wheelchair, and he got someone put the antenna up. He got someone to donate him the printer, the special printer, and the special decoder. And that was the article. He got his picture in the magazine. They would not put my article in the magazine because they sold a fax machine. Okay? That's what they told me. So anyway, I went on and I started receiving pictures. Now, I've saved the pictures. Okay? I'm now going to show you the pictures. I went on, like I said, I used high voltage. There's stepper motors that turn the drum and the feed right to left. I can go faster or slower. Here we'll start off with which I got to read some of these places. All right, this is Norfolk, Virginia. This is a weather map. Okay. Now I played with this unit for over a year, and right through hurricane season. And this paper, this is almost like burned. This is almost like soot on here. Now there's a hurricane, right here, hurricane. Most of the time, when you pick up a station, you're going to get weather maps. But I went further. I got into learning how to decode some of the stuff that other people never knew was up there. All right, here's a regular weather map. Shows your highs and your lows. Big deal, right? It was a big thing. Now, you can do this now on your cell phone, right? All right, here's you can get once an hour to give you a full Earth with the clouds and everything. And there's a very fine outline of the United States in here. You probably can't see. Maybe on this picture you could see it. Up in here, New Jersey's up in here. All right. I wonder if it's got the date on these things. No. No. It's a shame. They give you a full Earth, a half Earth. Here's a quarter Earth. Okay. Then some of the stations send ID a couple times a day. And here's a station from Canada that I received. Okay. And these bars are different resolutions to let you know your machine is really going good. Then I got into realizing there were pictures up there, but the rate was different, the spinning rate. So, but because it's digital, I could change the rates. So I just added extra circuitry. And Okay, this is Korea, I believe, North Korea. Okay, that's a long lathe. This is propaganda. And what they use this for is they can transmit the stories and the pictures to different parts of the country, more remote regions, and they can use these pictures to put in the newspaper. Okay, and I have a whole bunch of these. I think this is Fergie, when she had the baby years ago. Okay, and when I told people I was building this thing, they didn't think it would work because I was using stepping motors, and they didn't think I would finish it, and I finished it. And at the shortwave store, I did a demonstration after they were closed at the end of the day. And it was interesting. Everybody's like, holy crap. And I took a Sony 2010. I ran the audio into this unit, and I got a perfect weather map. We put it up on the wall in the shortwave store. And then the woman that ran the shortwave store, she asked me for some pictures. And I had a lot of Cyrillic text ones from Russia. Russia was also, that's why I lost all my Russian ones. She sent it to a magazine, and they wouldn't print it. They wouldn't want it in there. They didn't want you to see that this machine had better resolution than the, I can't think of the name of the decoder. I think it was an M800 decoder, but that's the way that ended up. And I never got the pictures back. Anything you send to a magazine, they won't send it back. They have their process, their rules, even though you don't know the rules. But I just want to let you see that. And this is this board here. This is an audio filter right here. It takes what it does is it takes the tone that's up there. It's like doo doo doo, like almost like RIDI, and it's only a lot slower. And then here, this is the phase lock loop chip, and then this is an op amp. I can almost tell you what all these chips are, and these are 741Cs and op amps. And I don't know what's in the back board, but I made this all come up. This all comes apart for service. Okay, this drives. Here's the crystal oscillator, right here, 10 megacycles, and then it gets divided down. Yeah, then I have another op amps here. This thing took. That's how I used to wire stuff up. Wiring on top, on the back. This is when I was in my prime. I'll tell you that right now. I was really sharp back then. And I would get an idea, and then I would stay with it until it was done. All right, and there's all kinds of. There's an audio input jack back here. There's also there's an RCA jack in the back. There's an audio jack in the back here. And then I could go into this unit and out into a circuit board that I made that went in the computer later on. And then later on I did a circuit board. I showed you that in some of the videos I deleted, but I want to do a longer video on this spinning drum fax machine, because I won't say this is my greatest accomplishment. My greatest accomplishment was coming up with cheap CNC machines, how to build them from scratch, using plastic, gray PVC plastic, parts from a hardware store. And the machines actually worked. People built them. That was my great. But this was the lead up to that. This was so difficult to build. And I got some magazines from the shortwave store. Here's what happened: was she was having a yard sale at the shortwave store, and then at the end I was helping her put stuff away. And then I noticed the whole stack of the magazines. They're all different magazines, but they're in one stack. So I said, what do you want to do with the magazines? She said, do you want them? I said, yeah. So I put them in my trunk of my car. When I got home, every magazine had an article on a spinning drum fax machine. And it turned out her husband was getting interested in the technology. And he got killed in a car accident. But this is a high voltage rod, and this varies. The output of this voltage varies to the tone. And there's a nail here, and there's a magnet, and the magnet pulls the pointer. Hope that's in the frame. The magnet pulls the down on the paper, puts pressure there. So if the paper is a little uneven, it'll track perfectly. Okay, and I don't know how to explain everything to you. in a way you'd understand. But it takes a frequency off the shortwave radio and it turns it into a picture. And the picture goes under this foil. That's one connection. And the other connection is this arrow on it. And there's a connector. Anyway, connector. This connector goes down the side. It touches this rod, and then there's a pickup on this rod somewhere. Oh, okay. Well, all the way on the opposite end, on this outside, there's a brush that hits that rod, and it makes that rod hot with 60 volts DC. I never got burned from this thing, you know. But to see this thing work, it was amazing back in the day. One friend had a Super Bowl party, and I brought this over. And at halftime, we ran a 50-foot wire out the back of his house, and then we hooked it up to I was using R71A, and we fired this up, and we were doing weather maps at his house, and it was really good reception there. He was further out in a town that was further away from the city in New Jersey. But I just wanted to show you this, and this is how bad a project can go when you really want to get into something. And I talked to one person that was going to build a system, and then as I talked to him, he was going to buy the decoder unit, put an antenna up, and then use this decoder box. That was his idea of building a fax machine. And then that one article, I might still have it, the one where the guy, they gave him the fax machine, and then they put the antenna up for him because he was in a wheelchair, and he got himself in the magazine. And the guys at work did photocopies, and every once in a while, they had a picture of the guy sitting in the wheelchair pointing at the special monitor that he got. He got like $6,000 worth of equipment from somebody because he was handicapped, and they were like sticking it to me. You know, he got his picture in the magazine, and you go and build this thing from scratch, and no one wants to go near you. It was pretty funny stuff. But later on, I got stuff published, so I didn't feel so bad. But this is one of my most involved projects, and I told you, my CNC machines, I actually designed them in my head, built them, got all the bugs out of them, and then I started selling the plans, mostly the United States and Canada. I didn't want to sell the other parts of the country because I would sell them a set of plans. They'd go on to conference and they complain they couldn't get any of the parts because the parts were from the United States. And then if they did find a part, they complained it was too much money. So I stopped selling to other countries. Plus, they would send me these broken English messages asking for free plans. And other countries just turned me off so fast. It was unbelievable. Oh, and then they also tell you how to ship it to them. They want you to scan it and send it to them electronically. And I'm like, no. I did that once with this crank organ book, my first one. The guy suckered me in that so he could sell the plans. I've been down that road. Okay, you can't fool me a second or a third time. I've been fooled several times, but this is it. Lots of dust on this, but I kept this as a keepsake. I was surprised this morning that oh, it sprang to life when I moved that circuit board. So as this spins, this goes along. Now that's once a second. I don't know if you can perceive this is moving along. Yeah, bad connection on that circuit board I took in and out. You know, this thing's 30-something years old. Mesmerizing. And then you could just see the puffs of smoke coming up from the paper as it burns. And the smell, you know. Picture yourself in a boat on a river with tangerine trees. All right, that's it.